In the far west of Europe, where the old continent meets the Atlantic Ocean, there is a country of unique wonder. Portugal is a genuine safe haven for numerous species of flora and fauna of our planet. Since the 1970s, the Portuguese people have started protecting several parts of its territory from over-exploitation in order to preserve the pristine conditions of some crucial areas of their environment. Since then, 13 natural parks and 9 natural reserves were created all over the country, all protected areas for wildlife. It stands as a bridge from Europe to Africa, serving as a stepping stone for the great migratory birds that undertake this mind-blowing journey. In the year 2010, another area, one located on the shores of one of the most important rivers in Portugal, was declared worthy of protection. With a very characteristic biodiversity, this private natural reserve, the first of its nature in Portugal, is a sanctuary for many animal species. The great prey birds that nest off the cliffs of the valley of the River Coa are the great emperors of the reserve. Thousands of migratory birds of absolutely all sizes and shapes rest here on their extenuating odyssey between the two continents. All this life, all year round, fills the Faia Brava Reserve with colour, sound and excitement. The time is now 10:30 p.m. Through a sinuous trail, we are arriving at the heart of the reserve. We are looking for a species that only comes out at night. At this moment, all over Europe, a very special event has been put in place for scientists who study a very peculiar group of insects, moths. The European Moth Night, as it is called, is a very efficient way to gather information about the species of this group. The moths are captured and the data is collected before they are released back into the wild. In Portugal, there are around 2,500 butterfly species, of which more than 200 are moths. In the reserve and also everywhere else, insects are at the core of the ecosystem, and understanding their ecology is extremely important. These species of moths have lived on our planet since long before we were here, and they will surely be here long after we are gone. The sun rises early in late summer in this eastern part of the country. It's at dawn that passerines are most active. This part of the year is quite unique in the reserve. All the migratory birds are coming through here right now. But today, everyone is on for a bit of a surprise. This camp was set by a team of the Portuguese Bird Ringers Association. The nets that the team put up the night before are now risen. This is the team's first catch of the, hopefully, many birds being ringed today. They are removed from the nets by the caring hands of the researchers, and the ringing can begin. This team is learning how these animals travel, their resting and stopover places, and of course their nesting territories, so that conservation can be applied to the right locations, and important measures can be surgically implanted in an integrated and effective way for bird conservation. In this ringing session, 200 birds are ringed, belonging to an impressive number of 48 different species. The last one being ringed today is a southern grey shrike. This very aggressive passerine is particularly well known due to a very curious behaviour. After it hunts a prey, the shrike hangs it on the branches to store it. This way it can come back on a less busy hour and hunt again when prey is more active. This one has spotted something. When attacking, it increases its size by opening its wings to confuse its prey. This time it captured a snake, an impressive feat for such a small bird. The shrike will only hang its prey if it feels that it will be secure. If it is suspicious, it will take off to somewhere else to enjoy the meal. Bird ringing and the European moth night are just two of the many activities the reserve has been promoting for the last 12 years. The Associação Transumância in Natureza started with the acquisition of only 67 hectares of land, currently more than 800, spread out along the Coa River Valley. Within this area, research is being done on the fauna that exists here, as well as activities that apply methods for recuperating the original habitats of this region. The results of the work are quite amazing, and to prove it is the incredible diversity of wildlife inhabiting the reserve. One of the species returning to this habitat is also one of the largest birds of prey in the skies of Portugal and of Europe, the golden eagle. A rare and majestic sight. It is in danger of becoming extinct in Portugal, so its protection here is extremely important. There is an even bigger bird than the golden eagle in this habitat, the griffon vulture. It is present here in considerable numbers, nesting on the cliffs on both sides of the Coa River. To ensure the vultures of the reserve remain capable of supporting healthy breeding populations, researcher Eduardo Realinho is trying to optimize vulture feeding stations for conservation purposes. Every week he carries out food to a vulture feeding station, experimenting between different types of food in order to understand species' food preferences. This station is an important measure in the Faia Brava strategy, as the vultures are undergoing great and rapid decrease in numbers. The meat is placed very early in the morning to increase the chances of attracting the vultures. Eduardo's research will inform scientists on the best way to supply feeding stations, which are becoming an important part of conservation measures in the Iberian Peninsula. He counts on the help of local butcher shops, which offer him leftover meat or bones from the day before, a good way not to waste food. Not long after Eduardo leaves, the unmistakable silhouettes start to hover high above in the sky. The first arrival is a very unique species of this part of the country. It's the Egyptian vulture, the smallest species of vultures and also the oldest known to still be alive today. They do not live or feed in groups, unlike other vultures, so competition still determines their behavior. The dominant bird imposes its presence. But not for long. The much larger griffon vultures are arriving. Used to eating in big numbers, they eat ferociously, pushing everyone else out of their way. The Egyptian vulture, not much bigger than a crow, will have to be careful to avoid direct confrontation and use its opportunistic nature. Soon, the station is filled with griffon vultures. This species has recently decreased gravely in numbers. Several years ago, the Portuguese government enforced a European directive prohibiting cattle owners from leaving the carcasses of dead cattle on the field. This decision was to prevent mad cow disease from spreading. This law is now having drastic consequences, as these magnificent birds saw their main source of food of thousands of years suddenly taken away from them. These stations are now one of the vulture's only chances to find food to survive in this territory. After only 1 hour, nothing is left. More than 50 griffon vultures have cleaned the site. And now, with their stomachs full, they will have to be content for a number of days before finding another opportunity like this one. Much of the work of the AidNature is creating the base conditions for wildlife to prosper. The restoration of the pigeon houses and their repopulation with pigeons has allowed wild hunters like the eagles to start coming back in numbers. The plantation of small patches of cereal fields in several locations within the reserve has allowed the prey species like the rabbit to come back for good. The native oak trees from the north of Portugal provide very nutritious acorns, a valuable source of nourishment in a harsh environment. Providing the base of the food chain, the reserve is allowing terrestrial predators to find a suitable place to live. The fox is one of the benefactors. These small mammals need their space in natural habitats, and to spot one in the wild is a true pleasure. At the Faia Brava, they have found a home to last for generations. Using these traditional and old techniques, together with the use of scientific knowledge, the work done by the AidNature is of extreme importance for Europe's wildlife. Since 2008, the reserve is open to the public for all to enjoy. There are many trails to visit, incredible landscapes to discover, and one might even catch a glimpse of one of the many permanent inhabitants of the reserve.